These canyon walls carry my tune. The only one to hear my song are the coyotes and the wolves. But if I drink enough of this flask, I can hear them sing your song too.
Hi, this is Robert Leiterman with the Bluff Creek Project, and I'm at Beachfoot, and we're just finishing up. This is like Sunday. We're getting ready to head out. Are you all packed up and everything?
I am. Well, no. Actually, I got a lot to do.
It's interesting because we're trying to squeeze in a little podcast out in the field, and people are leaving. They got diesel trucks, and these birds behind us, they just keep champering away. They won't quiet down. And so you might have a little background noise, but that's just kind of how it's going to be today. Yeah, so my special guest is Scot.
Hi.
And Scot, I just met Scot this trip at Beachfoot. This is your first Beachfoot?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
my first.
You've been invited before, but you couldn't make it. Now you're finally
here.
here.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of like me. The only reason they invited me is because of the Bluff Creek Project, and I was with other people, but I was able to get invited. So it's kind of cool, and I've enjoyed it. So I really appreciate this last interview. So talking to Scot, I realized Scot he's a busy guy. He's involved with so much stuff, and I was looking forward to this. So I'll turn it over to Scot. Go ahead and tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, my name's Scot Violette, and I'm with Scotch America. And what we are is a National Bigfoot Research Group, loosely affiliated, I'll put it that way. What we're trying to do is to find researchers all over the United States and find a depository for Bigfoot reports. So when we get reports, we have people that are with other groups and other Bigfoot researchers all over the country. If we get a report in their area, we turn it over to them and let them have at it. But what I'm doing is trying to take all these reports and put them together to put a narrative together to discover the culture of Bigfoot. I'm not trying to prove they exist. I already know they exist. But as a cultural anthropologist, I'm trying to discover what their culture is like, how they live. And I think I can do that with just sighting reports.
And you've had a lot of sighting reports you followed up on.
Yes. Thousands of them. Yeah.
How do you go through thousands of reports?
It's a task. Yeah. First, when I get a report in, the first thing I do is kind of look at similarities to other reports. I mean, does this have the characteristics of a Bigfoot and what we're seeing doing? Some of them are a little outlandish, so about 25% of them we pretty much just kind of set aside and say, well, that's a little out of the realms of possibilities. But most of them have... There's a lot of similar traits that Bigfoot all over the country do, no matter what part of the United States, or we get them from Canada. Even we've got reports from Patagonia. So
wow,
yeah.
But that's Patagonia's south, and it's almost like a Northern California environment there.
Yeah,
too.
It is. Yeah, and you can't get more south than Patagonia. It's almost at the end of the South America. Yeah. But there's still similar traits, like how they walk, some of the actions, their actions and reactions, how they act, even in Patagonia is similar to stuff that happens here in America.
That must be fascinating. It's like their eye shine or eye glow, same old.
Yeah, the way they walk, the way they react to people,
size, gait, footprints, still 5 toes.
Yeah.
I mean, how many 3-toe or 4-toe reports do you get?
Actually, we get more than you would expect. Of course, you got the famous Falk monster, the 3-toed monster down there, and kind of the southern fried version of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I actually got a picture a lady showed me from just last weekend in Medellin Falls, Washington, which is about far north as you can get in the state of Washington. And It had 3 toes. So, and I actually have a theory about that. When I was in university, we studied the ostrich people of Africa. Many people's never even heard of the ostrich people of Africa.
Is that because they have 2 toes?
They have 2 toes.
Oh.
Yeah. They have 2 large toes. Their feet look like ostrich feet.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's little pockets of people all over the world, actually. You know, Kentucky has a group of people that are blue.
Is that because of inbreeding?
No.
No.
It's a genetic defect. Yeah,
oh,
they don't
that's
have,
weird.
Their red blood cells are blue. It's genetic. But the African people are from inbreeding. It's a small community. A lot of inbreeding in the community, and one of the first things that happens in the genetic defects are the toes.
Why is that?
I'll have to ask a geneticist on that. I have no idea why, but that's what happened. It's just inbreeding causes the feet to mutate first, and so we do see 3-toed Bigfoot, and then we've got also the cripplefoot from Bosburg, Washington in 1969, which was a deformity which they think is clubfoot. And we actually found, one of our researchers in Vermont in October of 2022 found another clubfoot, exactly like the cripplefoot cast. So that could be an instance of inbreeding in small populations.
And that's the one you showed us around the campfire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So I would
13
say
inches.
Yeah, and the other one,
it's like 18.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
That's the one you always hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people were saying that one was fake. They say, well, it can't be real, it's got to be fake. I know Grover Krantz felt it was real because he laid over the top of it the tarsals.
The bone structure. Yeah.
And you feel the same way about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I think Grover took that drawing he did to a podiatrist and said, "What's wrong with this guy's foot?" You know, and didn't tell him it was a Bigfoot. if his bone structure was like that, and and it's a diagnosable problem, you know, so
it sounds like it's in the population.
Yep.
And the odds of finding a cast or casting one of those, and you have 2, so maybe it's a lot larger in the population than we think.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
And plus they found 1,089 of the cripplefoot casts in 1969, and we had 70 of these footprints in Vermont. So,
let's say somebody's going to go out and fake these things. That's a lot of work.
That is. And you'd had to be a podiatrist because it's a diagnosable problem, so you'd have to know what the foot looked like if you had that bone structure in it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The stride length of the one you found in Vermont, do you recall?
32 inches, yeah.
32 inches.
Yeah, but it's only 13 inches print, so it was a younger individual. And the interesting thing is the one we found, the crippled foot, it had one normal foot, just like the crippled foot cast, but it's the opposite foot of the one that... That
is interesting on that one.
Yeah.
And what other interesting things have you casted out and about?
Oh, interesting. Well, that was probably the most interesting.
We talked earlier, and you said you've seen some that had 4 toes, but some of the toes were crossed over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that from a broken toe, you think, or that's just a deformity?
That could have been a broken toe, I would think, if either an injury of some sort with a crossed toe, or it could be just a problem with the substrate they were walking on, and it caused their toe to cross or whatever. So, but yeah. But I don't, this is a lot of stuff you can't explain. It's like, okay, why?
It's all magic.
Yeah, trying to figure out why. Yeah.
I always think about that. I go, why do people see 4 toes versus 5? But maybe they stepped on something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it didn't show up or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, The three-toe ones, you always hear about the folk monster with 3 toes.
Yeah.
Any thought on that, or
Well, like I said, possibly the genetic problem.
inbreeding?
Inbreeding in the smaller populations. I don't know. You know, there's also the possibility of just mistaken prints. It could have been an alligator, but
That's it.
yeah.
That's interesting you bring that up, because I got the book on the is it the honey monster?
Yeah, honey island.
Yeah, and then I got to thinking. So I don't live with alligators, so
Yeah.
always dreamed I love alligators, but I have yet to meet one. Swamps and alligators, I think that goes back to my ancestry line.
Yeah.
And so I started looking up alligator prints. So 4, I think, on that one. But then there's like something else farther up. I don't know if it's the dew claw or what.
Yeah.
And it's thinking, 4 of those, it's fanned out, and then they only have claws on certain toes. I read that. It's weird. And then, of course, there's the tail drag.
Yeah.
And I would think, well, this should be obvious it's an alligator track.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bipedal
Alligator
man.
without a tail.
Yeah. So those are things I always look at from a scientific point. Okay,
Yeah.
how can this be that way? Why is that? And
Yeah.
I always find it fascinating, the whole thing on that one.
Yeah. And it could be as simple as it lost 2 toes in an accident.
Yeah, we always forget about that.
Yeah, or something, you know.
Yeah, amputees.
Yeah.
Got hungry, ate them off.
Yeah. Stepped on an alligator,
Yeah,
got his toes
got his
bit.
toe eaten.
Yeah.
Did the barrel roll and ripped off the couple toes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I always hear about eye shine and eye glow. Do you get a lot of reports on that?
Lots. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing. And there's a scientific explanation to that.
Yeah, like that'd be good.
Yeah, so there's some animals, we do not have a thing called the tatum lucidum, which is an extra lining on the back of the eyes. It's like a extra reflective layer. Cats have it, caribou, there's a whole bunch of animals that are used to hunting at night or eating at night, or night-dwelling creatures. Nocturnal, that's the word I'm looking for.
Nighttime stuff.
Nighttime stuff. Yeah, so most of them have this extra lining on the back of their eyes, which is highly reflective. And even to the point that, moonshine, starshine could even reflect off them, and we would be able to see that reflection off the back of their eyes.
And what's the purpose of that?
More light collection.
Okay, so it's just like a
Like
mirror.
night vision. Yeah.
You just kind of magnify the mirrors and light it up.
Yeah.
That explains why my cat can see all the stuff in the dark I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Because the light comes in, and instead of like ours, bounces around in there several times and comes out. Well, their bounces around 1,000 times, so they got a lot more data collected in their eyes than we do when we see the light coming in.
That is fascinating, and I've taken reports before, and I had to decipher. Okay, is it eye shine or eye glow? Sometimes people just summarize it. I had my flashlight. I shined in the bushes, and I saw eye shine.
And that's reflective. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like it was behind a tree, and I saw it peeked out, and I saw its red eyes or yellow eyes or whatever. Yeah. And that would be eye glow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still eye shine. So if their eyes can collect more light from moonlight and reflect that back, you're actually just seeing eye reflection the whole time. But it just it's like putting light through a magnifying glass, basically. So if you're seeing what you think is eye glow, you're actually seeing a reflection from some ambient light, like the moon or stars, or the reflection of the headlights, miles away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but so I don't think they actually glow. Like, you don't create light; they just intensify it so much. So they need a smaller amount of light to create an intense reflection in it.
Because I have taken reports on it, and people swear up and down by it. And have you experienced that?
The eye shine, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sure did. Now, yeah, we were in the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon, which is primarily where I grew up, and our most intense research area for myself personally. But yeah, we were on a Bigfoot research evening, and my partner took a spotlight, and just every once in a while we'd just sweep the wood line. And it was down a little canyon and back up the other side, and we swept the light across there, and got two big glowing eyes up there. So we put like the targeting lasers you put on pistols.
Yes.
We put those on our flashlights. We attach them to our flashlights. So if we see something, we'll keep the flashlight there, and then my partner fired the laser, and we keep the laser dot where we saw what we did.
Right.
And then I climbed down the canyon, across the river, and back up the canyon on the other side to see where the laser was. And when I got back there, there was nothing there, but the laser was hitting about 8 feet up a tree that had no limbs on it sticking out there. So it wasn't an owl on a limb, because there was no limbs for it to stand on. So
that's what incredible. So you painted your target.
Yep. Yeah.
You kept it on.
Kept it on.
Called in the airstrike.
Yeah.
You sent him over there. How long did it take him to get to that location?
Oh, no, I'm the one that went over there.
You got the lucky dog.
It took me probably 15 minutes, because it was, down a canyon and across the ravine and back up the other side.
He's got to hold it on target.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. Stay back on target.
Yeah.
Well, that's good you guys did that, because I think we talked before, and you guys have a scientific approach to almost everything you guys do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So people can't second guess what you're doing. We've been there, done that. We already did it. We analyzed it, and we figured this out.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's from my career working on archaeological digs. I learned how to document everything, even if it's stupid.
Yeah, well, it needs to be done.
It needs to be done. So we try to collect everything we can and all the information we can. That's why I got lasers, and we do a lot of, I've got a pole. I've got a pole with a surveyor's pole with the measurements on it. So when we see something, we'll shoot lasers through the tree, put the pole up there, so where the laser hits, I know it's what I saw was 6 foot tall.
Let's definitely scientific about it. Most people don't think about that. They take a shot, they're all excited about it. They don't think about going back over there and marking where they were when they took the shot.
Yeah.
Or investigating it. It's like, let's get the hell out of here, and then we'll come back later maybe. And then it's like, I haven't had that experience things and like that. I've had trees pushed over and rocks tossed and samurai talk, but I haven't had to run away or and come back later and have to figure out how big it was.
Yeah.
Like one time though, I was in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, second growth forest, following a grass trail that had been mowed, but it grew up. We were walking at night, and I had one foot in the footpath, the other one on the grass, because you can't see very well at night, no lights. And we had a rock tossed at us. And the partner I was with freaked. It was going to take off running. It's like, don't. We just kept walking. But I didn't mark the spot I was at when it happened. And then I did mark the spot where we stopped to listen to see if we were being followed. But I wish I was thinking ahead. We went back the next day to go look at it. I think it was here.
Yeah.
And we're looking for a rock now.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Where is it? Yeah.
We could find some sources of rocks, but we don't know if that's the exact spot. And it's like we do things differently once we learn. And it sounds like you've got that curve down pretty well.
Yeah. I've been kind of in the game for about 25 years. So, and what's really helped me a lot, it's interesting enough, is we have our YouTube channel that we produce a show every week on, and I learned a lot from the comment section, believe it or not.
Oh wow, you actually read those?
I actually read the comments. But like we did a show the other day. I was talking about how I found a footprint, and then I didn't have casting material with me. I did mark my GPS where it was at, so I knew exactly where to get back to it. But it took me a week to get back there because I had to go back home. I had to work and all that stuff. And then we got back a week and grass had grown up through it. And I'm like, oh, it's ruined. And then we talked about that and on our show, and one of the comments was, well, just take lighter fluid, burn the grass off, and cast it. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Note to self, next time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in things where like, okay, we got to MacGyver this, we got to make it work, you know, and sometimes not all the plugs are firing off, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you could be standing over there and you see everything perfectly. You're here, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Like our talks.
Yeah.
I remember everything until I'm standing there having to answer questions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I joked around about bringing my book up, studying before I had to go talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm over 60, and it's like, okay, remember everybody's names.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I have to write them down just to remember them.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed at the talk show people. And they always call them by their first name because they're always reminding themselves who they're talking to.
Yeah.
Why, thank you, Billy Bob.
Yeah.
It's like, I go, well, thanks. I'm done. I don't repeat the names because
Yeah.
that's how they remember everything. And
Yeah.
it's tough. So you've been at it for, you said 25 years?
Yeah.
What got you into it?
What got me into this? Actually, my career as Native American cultural anthropologist, what really got me, well, I was always kind of interested growing up in the Blue Mountains. You know, there's a lot of, you know, the Freeman film. And,
definitely.
Yeah. Literally my house I grew up in was 15 miles south of Deduck Springs where the Freeman film was. So that area was always interested, you know, but I never really got into like the Bigfoot research. I thought, oh, that's a cool thing, you know. But after I started working with tribal members all over the nation and finding out that they all have Bigfoot legends, they all have Bigfoot stories, they all have names for Bigfoot in their languages, and I'm like, so there's got to be something to this that goes back further than I thought, you know. So when we're finding pictographs that are 1,500 years old, you know, of Bigfoot, and not just one here, I'm finding them all over. So there's like 7 or 8 that I have personally seen, not just in California, like the famous one in California, but they're in Washington, they're in Maine, you know. So that really kind of triggered my interest and said, okay, there's got to be something to this. And then I started looking into you know, some of Dr. Meldrum's work and Dr. Kranz's work and looking at the morphology of the feet. And I'm like, okay, this isn't something Joe carved in his wood shop and strapped to his feet, because there's morphology to this, you know.
Yes, a lot of people don't understand that. They go, there's just slappers, what do they call
Yeah,
them?
stompers.
Stompers.
Yeah.
Slap them on the ground, stomp them into footprints.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flexing of the foot,
yeah.
or if it's something hard, the tip's going to be dragging for a little bit because it's supersized, oversized.
Right.
And all those tracks are in a line. So how do you take your stompers and walk in a straight line?
Yeah, yeah. And then sometimes when you're in mud, the toes splay when they slide forward, you know. So there's motion to them. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. So you finally decide that been studying anthropology, learning about well into the subject matter than most people are.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, I'm gonna go look for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I had to retire out of the university scene, so I wasn't jeopardizing the university's funding looking for Bigfoot.
Give him a bad name. This crazy guy looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
He works for us. He's one of our team.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I got out of academics, then I was kind of free to do what I wanted to do. So my wife and I actually, we got out of the college scene and started working at high schools, and they don't care what I do. So
that's good.
Yeah. So we started. So what I did is I set just for fun. I set up a Facebook page and a website to start getting reports. I wonder if there's any reports in my area. So I set up. I started Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research because we were over in Baker City, Oregon at the time, and the local newspaper picked it up, did a story on us. And then for some reason the AP Newswire just out of the blue picked it up, and all of a sudden it's all over the United States. Our website crashed because so many people on it. I was getting thousands of reports, coming in all of a sudden from all over the country, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't exactly what I wanted at the time, but it was overwhelming but fantastic at the same time. I was like, okay. So I got me a big map and started putting pins and dates and times in it, and then I started noticing patterns in that. So we could work out migration patterns if that's what they are. Because I always had a question on a few of them, because like if I get a lot in October, well, there's a lot more people in the woods in October because it's hunting season.
Yes.
So is it migration, or is it just more people seeing them at that time, because there's more chances of it happening? And, so there's a lot of math involved that I'm not really great at. But
that's the M word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah. So, but that's what kind of kicked off our last 5 years is that little jolt there, and we kind of entered the Bigfoot world with a blast instead of just creeping into it. But then the pandemic hit, so we decided to just quit our jobs. The heck with this. And close to retirement. I'm 60 now this year, but so we sold our house and bought an RV and just hit the road. We switched the company to Scotch America now instead of Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research. But so now we're getting reports from all over the United States and just following up on them. And that's when it gave me the idea to start trying to work. Well, I might as well use this cultural anthropology I studied to try to figure out the culture of these things now.
You are a busy guy. I thought I was busy. And then stuff you're at. Yeah, like I talked to you earlier, and you started showing some of these, for lack of better, movies or interviews, and you had several of those things.
Oh yeah,
it's like you're the guy.
Yeah, and that was kind of funny too. As after that hit the AP Newswire, and since we're in Oregon, Travel Oregon did a little mini documentary. Because we had originally planned to start taking people out on adventure, Bigfoot research trips, and that was going to be an income thing for us. And so Travel Oregon did this whole big piece on trying to get people to come to Oregon to go bigfooting. What a better place. So and that went viral on their website, millions of views, and then Nike decided to do a commercial about Bigfoot, and because they saw that, they called me up and said, hey, you want to be in a Nike commercial? And I thought, yeah. And I tried to get them to fund me, but they sponsored me.
Oh, that's too bad. No sponsorship from those guys.
Yeah, but so that worked out, and then I actually... the first season of Expedition Bigfoot contacted me also, and I helped them out with locations and stuff in the beginning of that, and it's just kind of exploded from there.
When is the beer commercials?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the beer commercials.
Renee was able to pull that off.
I know he was.
Was it Kokanee?
Kokanee beer.
Yeah, it's a cute commercial. He's like, he's standing there talking, and then Sasquatch is like shaking his trailer or whatever. It's cute.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's really awesome.
Taking full advantage of all that stuff. Yeah. So that's incredibly busy. You also veteran.
Yes.
And you started got involved with the program. You want to talk about that?
Okay. Yeah. There was. We were at an event where I was speaking, and we ran into another group that was there called Fallen Outdoors. And what they are is a veterans group that takes other veterans out hunting and fishing. And it's kind of funny, their booth was across from ours at the event, and we kept staring at each other like, who are those guys? So I finally went over and introduced myself, and come to find out the guy who started it was from my hometown, which was just absolutely freaky, because my hometown was 110 people, but I had graduated like 20 years before he did. He's a lot younger than me, but what's interesting, he said, hey, we need a Bigfoot division. So I said, that sounds like a great thing to do. I did 2 tours in Iraq myself in the Army, and so I thought it'd be great to take veterans out bigfooting, and so we just connected. So we're partners now with Fallen Outdoors, and so we haven't started it yet. It's just a new thing, so I haven't got my first expedition out yet. But we're doing a festival, just a straight Fallen Outdoors festival over in Roseburg area.
That's coming up pretty soon.
Coming up, in about a month, and then so we're gonna launch it then and start taking vets out.
I think that's great. I always hear those programs, and I think it's a great program. And thank you for your service.
Yeah,
you probably get tired of hearing that.
Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah, and so I saw your truck. I'm going to describe your truck.
Okay.
We had some musicians come in, and they noticed your truck.
Yeah.
and then before they played, they made a comment about your truck.
Yeah.
So I'll describe it real quick from what I remember seeing it.
Okay.
You know every part of it.
Yeah.
Big red truck with stickers on it. You have a large footprint on the hood, and you had a friend design that for you.
Yes.
It's a custom design.
It is.
By a well-known artist.
By a well-known David Lundquist. Yeah. He is actually the artist that drew the album covers for the Grateful Dead.
So. That's cool. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
And you have another sticker in your window. I forget the exact wordings. I'm not sitting by your car.
I drink coffee stronger than your feelings.
Yeah. And I notice you have that on both sides to make sure passing vehicles also see that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you have on the door. You pretty much have your logo.
I have our logo. Yeah.
Go ahead and say the new logo again. The company.
Squatch America.
Squatch America. And you have an emblem on the door. It took me a while to figure it out. Sometimes I'm a little slow. But it's the United States, the shape of the southern boundary of the United States, and trees growing on the top of the front one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then you have the other emblem of the program you just started, the
Fallen Outdoors. Yeah. And
then you have cameras, and then you have drop lights on the sides and the front, and you have camera screens that cover 24/7. You got a recorder going all the time. The top part opens up into a kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It opens up to a tent.
Yeah.
So you sleep on the platform and you have this ladder, not a rope.
Yeah, not a rope.
But a ladder to climb up. And then the back slides out and you have your cooking area, you have your storage, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. The two drawers in the back. Yeah, we call it our hillbilly overlander because I pretty much built it all. And being Cajun, that Cajun ingenuity. But so the camera part, that came about because we spent a lot of time in the woods with this, and I'm always like hearing things or like, oh, did I turn my camera on? It's got to boot up and it's got to miss it. So we decided to put it's basically like a home surveillance system that covers 360 degrees around the truck and records 24/7. So we put solar panels to recharge it. So it has its own power system separate from the truck power system. And so I don't miss things as much as I used to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You had an earlier truck that you had to use, and this is the new one. This is the new model. The other one didn't have as much stuff as you have in this one.
No, it didn't. It still had the surveillance system, but I didn't have the kitchen or the tent on that one. It was a smaller truck. I mean, this is a 1-ton truck, so I can pile a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah, a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see it in the commercials.
Yeah.
It's almost like, let's hire this guy. Look at his truck.
Yeah.
He's got to be a squatcher. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need a step ladder to get in and out of your truck.
No.
Yeah. Maybe 30 years ago you would have a step ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized, climbing in and out, I love that little metal thing I put my foot on to get in.
Yeah.
Comes in handy a lot.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Is anything else you want to add? And things I miss, because you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we actually. I don't know how this happened, but we end up speaking at a lot of Bigfoot events now.
Yeah.
We just I spoke here at Beachfoot, but this is.
By the way, not to interrupt, but to interrupt, I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you got the stories and the program starting. I loved it. It was fun following along.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So, but this is my 8th conference this summer already, and we've got 4 more to go That I know of, and they keep piling up.
So you're like, how people will travel.
Yes.
And you're good. You're a good speaker.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you're very knowledgeable, and you have another twist to it. You have an anthropological view of a lot of things that a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
What didn't Bigfoot just start in? Let's see. There's Roosevelt issue. That was the first right. That's when they found out they had a creature.
Yeah.
Or was
Jerry
it when
Crew?
Yeah, was it 58 with Jerry Crew? You know,
Yeah.
he knows what to do.
Yeah.
The Tom Yamaron song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes way back. I mean, that's all from the cultural aspect of it, and like I'm interested in Louisiana lately, and I know we talked about the creatures from there, and of course there's the French name thrown in there.
Loup-garou.
I love it. Say it again.
Loup-garou.
I always mispronounce it.
Yeah.
I have cousins in Louisiana, and I mispronounce everything they say. Yeah, like the Chapalaya Basin, I call it the Atachapa Basin. No, you got it wrong. And so we'll be talking about names, and so my cousins will interrupt me and correct me.
Yeah.
And I says, wait till I'm done talking and interfere with my thoughts.
Yeah.
I can't get any. You keep correcting all my bad pronunciation. So.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun. My dad's a full-blooded Acadian French, and actually he didn't speak English until he was in his 30s.
Wow.
So, well, he spoke English, but that wasn't
by choice.
But by common, I mean, it was the old French, and of course the Cajun Louisiana. There's some twists on that, even but so I grew up hearing it, and in fact I spoke French until I was like 5, but I haven't since then, so it's pretty much gone out of my head, but I can pronounce it. So,
see, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
You don't have people correcting you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm used to being corrected anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm not always perfect.
Yeah.
My wife makes sure I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get along with that.
Yeah.
So have you found out that all of your research, going back to the natives' names for Sasquatch and Bigfoot, have you found that pretty much every state, I know the boundaries of nations don't go by state boundaries.
Right.
But how many of the nations actually have, off the top of your head, have a name for Bigfoot or
Well,
Sasquatch?
yeah, the ones that I've got 75 names right now.
That's
on
quite
my
a
list.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know we've lost some cultures, we lost some of the language,
Yeah.
but there's still quite a bit out there.
Yeah, which is sad. There's quite a few native nations that have lost their language completely. There's some working on trying to bring them back. I know the Nez Perce tribe right now is trying to get their language back too.
That's totally incredible.
Yeah.
Chitimacha had an issue with that too. Good thing, I guess Swanson, one of the ethnologists, and then some other people, they interviewed him, saved the languages on wax, had him sing songs and do some of the history, and in 1980 they got it back, and the Chitimacha had used the language people. There's like two of them. I keep forgetting the name of it, but they were able to bring it back, and now that they're teaching it in the schools, which is pretty incredible. But you can't get copies of them unless you're an enrolled tribal member. That's the frustrating part for us, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I just think it's real interesting that you told me about the treaty, about the Ojibwe treaty.
Oh yeah.
I love that story. You mind sharing that one?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that it's a legend/treaty that the Ojibwe tribe has, and it's a story that I heard from an elder. They talked about how when the white man showed up, the French fur trappers were the first ones to reach that area, and the Bigfoot had told the tribe not to trade with them because they felt something bad would happen, but the tribal people said, no, we want to trade with them. We'll be careful. We'll trade with them. And Bigfoot told the tribal members that if you trade with them, the Bigfoot are going to go into the mountains and never be seen again. It's kind of interesting that that's happened,
Yeah, foretelling of the future.
Foretelling of the future, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the first I heard of that.
Yeah.
And you think, a lot of the Northeast, a lot of assimilation took place, and lost a lot in and trying to get it back.
Yeah.
Thank goodness anthropologists took notes.
Yes.
So a lot of the cultures are able to rebuild and find out information that's no longer oral history, it's now written history, but it's their history. And I think that's fascinating, and a lot of cultures trying to rebuild with that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of envious of all that information you're able to collect and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know of any other stories that you care to share about kind of myth stories related to Bigfoot?
Yeah, well, there's I worked a lot in Central California with the Miwok tribes.
So the hairy man pictographs.
Yeah, the hairy man pictographs. So, in their language is Yayali, which translates to hairy man. But they have an interesting. They look at him as more of a spiritual being or an elder spirit guide kind of thing. And sometimes you've got the two camps in Bigfoot. You got the woo camp and the flesh and blood camp. But they seem the
those guys in
the Miwok tribe.
Yeah.
They seem to combine those two actually. So they think that Bigfoot is a being that lives in the woods, but it's also a spiritual being at the same time. And they even have a legend. This is kind of funny, but when people bring the woo stuff up, well, I say, well, the Miwok says everywhere Bigfoot goes, a light follows, like an orb.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So there are those tribes who, actually in the tribal world, they have the woo tribes and
so just like everybody
just like
else.
Everybody else, yeah.
So traditionalists versus non-traditionalists.
Traditionalists, yeah.
A lot of people assume that if you're native ancestry, then you believe all that stuff.
Right.
And you're finding out that a few people believe that stuff. And most of the nations modernize and have their ideas and have their beliefs of different things. And that always fascinates me, how we tend to generalize all the time.
Yeah.
We're not always right.
Yeah, no. And it's interesting, the names for Bigfoot in different tribes, like it's almost 50%, 50-50, that some of them, most of them are benevolent brother, friend, spirit being, hairy man, and the other ones are like Wendigo, monster, cannibal. So
those are scary names.
Yeah.
Do you find that most of the scary names are from the east or from the west?
South.
Of the south? Southwest or southeast?
South.
Oh, just south on board?
It's like northern Bigfoots are nice. Southern Bigfoots are a little nasty.
So tribes in the south don't have a really good relationship,
No.
And the ones in the north have come up with a relationship.
Yeah.
Except for the Ojibwe who violated the contract.
Yeah.
That's fascinating too.
Uh-huh.
Have you thought about taking all this information you have and compiling it into like a resource or?
Yeah, we're actually working on a book right now.
That's great.
It's called Sasquatch Medicine.
Yeah, Sasquatch good medicine.
Yes.
And then you'll have a chapter Sasquatch bad medicine.
Yeah.
For the south chapters and the north chapters.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fast. I think that needs to be out there because a lot of people find that they make that connection because they realize that Bigfoot or different names for them didn't start in 19 whatever.
Yeah.
It started, when Earth was created.
Yes.
And there's all those stories that were passed on.
Uh-huh.
And I definitely find it fascinating. And it, as a researcher trying to find that information, it's frustrating to not find it.
Yeah.
And to get some of the oral history, you have to know somebody. And a lot of it's private.
Yeah.
It's cultural. And
it's hard.
Just to go over and start asking people questions isn't always the proper etiquette.
Yeah, true. Especially with the tribal members. It takes a little while to get in to where they see you not as a threat,
Because I guess traditionally, Europeans have always take. And now you have an opportunity to protect your culture, and you want to protect it. And you're tired of having to take it away and exploit it, so they get real defensive.
Yep.
And I see that. I see that. Anything else you want to talk about that I haven't covered?
No, I just want to let people know that we're not financially supported by anybody, so please go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't mind giving them, I get one more time so they can follow along with that.
Okay. Yeah, so if you go to Squatch America on YouTube, we try to put up, to put up, because I'm busy, but we try to put up 3 videos a week. But we always do our live on Thursdays, and we talk about a lot of stuff that gets sent to us. So,
so you talk about a lot of stuff that gets sent to you.
Yeah. So we have, So we often, at the conferences or just on our website, people send us reports and pictures and stuff, and some of them are like, wow, in the Bigfoot world. And we talk about those on our Thursday lives a lot. So if you want to see the recent stuff that's out there, check that out. And then we have our website. If you want to submit reports, please do. It's squatchamerica.com.
Yeah.
And that also, you can sign up for our email list, and we can let you know where we're at. And that's another thing we do is a lot of times people who have these sightings, if we're able to be in the area or we're close to them, we will go to the site with you and talk to you and get your report personally and research the area.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I've been with the BFRO for a while. I think I'm still associated with it, but I don't follow up. But follow up on reports and being able to go to an area, familiar with an area, investigate it, and more accurately report on it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
There's so many people outside the area will take a report, but they don't know the geographic area, and they don't go down and take the RP reporting party, put them right there in the same spot, and then ask them those questions. It's amazing what happens when you take somebody, you plop them right down, and they're standing there where they were that day, and you can see it in their emotion, in their voice.
Yeah, the goosebumps on their arms. Yeah, I've seen that more than once.
And then they remember things, and they go back there, and it makes it great. Not just great for television, but I think you get a more accurate report of it.
You do, and to be able to take their picture and hold it up to that tree that they got, the Bigfoot behind that tree, and then be able to hold that picture up and look at that tree and say, okay, that shadow is not there today. That's
or for the first time, they never actually went to go see where it was in the bushes.
Yeah.
And now you're taking them there, and now you're putting them there. And now you're taking it, and then they realize how tall it really was. Well, some people don't go back after an experience.
I know.
And they wait years to even discuss it.
Yeah.
Ridicule or still trying to find an understanding for it. And then they finally, okay, I'll engage now. I'm mature enough to go back or willing to discuss it with people. Yeah. You know how many people you talk to and they've had a sighting 20 years ago and they haven't really shared it. Now they're deciding to.
Yeah.
They saw you on TV, and they saw your truck parked there, and they go, I think I feel comfortable enough to talk to somebody about this. And then you become the reporting person for that.
And we get that a lot. And that's the reason we put our logos in, and it literally says Bigfoot Research Group on the side of my truck. And it's not for vanity, it's the fact that I can't go to a gas station without getting a Bigfoot report. And one report really stands out in my head. We were at a gas station pumping gas, and this is in South Carolina. And this car drives by on the road in front of the gas station, and I hear the brakes literally lock up. And the guy turns around, whips into the gas station, and he looks at me, and they always ask you the same question. So, do you really do this? And I'm like, yeah, I really do this.
This is my gig,
Yeah. And then they go, well, here's what happened to me. And, and he told me his story, and I'm like, okay, so when I finish pumping gas, I go, how far is it? And he goes, oh, it's just a few miles up the road. And I'm going, you got a few minutes? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, so we went directly to his sighting spot.
That is the total advantage of having your kit with you.
Yeah, it is.
Just a minute, let me finish pumping gas, and I got my camera crew, got my support team.
Yeah.
Let me get my vest on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we keep everything in the truck with us, and we're ready to go at a moment's notice. Yeah.
Well, again, I'm envious of that.
Yeah.
Of course, I probably wouldn't be if I can't get anything done because I got to keep investigating
Yeah,
reports.
yeah.
I don't have a social life anymore. I'm going to all these special events.
Yeah, I gave that up a long time ago.
And
yeah.
I got to get ready for my talk, And,
Yeah.
and then you have people asking you questions afterwards, and you don't have time to even go eat because you're too busy dealing with everything.
Yeah, that's why I'll keep my weight down.
Yeah. And your wife's been very supportive, I see.
Oh yeah, greatly supportive.
She's like, "I'll help you finish the sentences if you needed to. And
Yeah.
don't forget to ask about this." And
Yeah.
So I think that's good because I know we talked about this before. When you're standing there, it's harder to do things when you have to think about performing. It's actually a performance when you think about it.
Yeah.
Providing information, answering questions, make sure you get the dang people's names right, and then when you're sitting in the audience, you know all the answers.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah. I know I joked about when I did my talk of bringing up my book, and I was like,
Yeah.
I just reviewed so I can answer your questions now.
Yeah.
5 minutes from now, I'm not going to remember anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you don't know how many notes I have on my on my slides when I'm doing my talk. That's why the computer's down in front of me, and I can see what slide's coming up next, but it also has the text of what I'm supposed to say. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I'm...
In oversized print.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So oh, sorry.
I was going to say, but I'm really bad with people's names.
Oh, yeah. That's why name tags are... Yeah.
Yeah, name tags are important. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll in this, I know you got to get packed up and stuff. So, do you have any suggestions or recommendations for people who are interested in getting involved in Bigfoot research?
Well, I guess one is everybody has a camera.
Yeah.
On their phone.
They forget about it.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's I call it time on target. Just go spend time in the woods. And my first suggestion is find a place deep in the woods, sit down and shut up and listen. I have found more stuff just sitting there than I ever have hiking through the woods looking for Bigfoot. And another thing that's really important, there is a lot of good information out there in books. Like one of my favorite books, believe it or not, is When Roger Met Patty by Bill Munns.
Oh, yeah, Bill Munns.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of work on that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ever thought that or had any questions about the Patterson-Gimlin film, read that book and it'll change your mind. And another really good thing is if you like big words, read Dr. Meldrum's book, When Legend Met Science.
Yeah, the R sister translate that. What does that word mean?
Yeah, bring your dictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also, he's got a lot of really great historic information in there.
Yeah, some of the stuff that he in his book talks about when he originally was in the Siskiyou Wilderness area. And of course, I'm trying to find out where those locations are, and he's kind of wording them differently. And so people forget about paper.
Yeah.
Let's go on the internet. It's convenient.
Yeah.
But you can get ebooks
Yeah.
that are paper, but now they're electronic. They're written by the same authors, Green and Meldrum and those other guys. Burgernickel has I keep messing his name. He passed away, but his book is a good tool. I mean, he looks at it from a biology perspective. And lots of times people don't talk about the biology in the research. Yeah. So you want them to study up, learn about the basic areas, learn about what trees are there, plants are there, food sources. So basically you're telling them they got to do some reading.
Yeah.
I know some people don't like to read.
I know.
So if I don't like to read, how else could I learn about something?
There's some 1 million documentaries out there, at least.
Yeah. That's cool. Any other advice for them on that?
Just be safe in the woods. That's another thing. I have a little advantage in the woods because when I was in the military, I went through this thing called the SEER School, military survival, wilderness survival, where they pretend to put you in a concentration camp and let you escape, and then you get chased through the woods and you got to survive for a week by yourself.
Eating
being
bugs,
chased.
grass.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Wrap yourself in leaves.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It's not.
No.
But, no, just, like I said, get some basic, you already have your basic tools, believe it or not. That cell phone in your hand, it's a camera, it's an audio recorder, it's GPS, you know.
If you have cell reception, it's GPS.
Yeah.
Call for extraction.
Yeah, exactly.
Not when you get in trouble, but have a plan before.
Or that, yeah. But just keep an open mind. It surprises me that there's a lot more evidence that gets stepped on than we realize out in the woods. You know, I had my own sighting, but it took me 25 years to do that, and I had a lot of pins and maps and knew where to go at that time, you know, kind of thing. But sightings are rare, just remember that. But I find footprints all the time, literally probably a couple sets a year that are legitimate Bigfoot prints, you know, not double-step bear prints. Yeah, so.
Oh yeah. I see a lot of those.
Yeah, but I think there's more of these things in the woods than we think.
And I was talking to Dennis, and he was showing me some stick structures. And I guess that's something else we need to pay attention to.
Right.
You know, things out of place. But if you don't spend time looking at things, you're not going to see things out of place. You don't know what to look for. Yeah. So, and I know when I first got involved, it was like, we'll travel everywhere looking for them, but maybe I should stop and figure out what is there and wait to see what I can look for.
Yeah. And another good thing is they just recently came out with this thing called the Bigfoot Mapping Project. You're familiar with that? That's an app you can download on your phone again, and just look in your area and see how, and you know, check the BFRO website and look for the reports in your area. But most importantly, look at the dates of the reports, because if all the reports are in October, then that's when you need to be in the woods. If they're all in January, that's when you need to be in the woods, because I can't say for certain that they have a migratory pattern, but there seems to be some types of patterns. If they're like just following food sources, basically, like you know, when this is ripe in this area, that's when you need to be, sort of thing.
You're saying I should have used science?
Yeah. Look for patterns. Oh my gosh.
I just can't go watch a reality show
Yeah.
and do exactly what they do, and it's going to work for me?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I got to rethink everything.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the interview time, and I apologize for people leaving and cars driving by and dogs seeing us in the bushes, barking at us, thinking we're aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been fun, and I enjoy meeting you and talking to you, spending time with you, and yeah, I learned a lot. Oh yeah. It just I can still learn.
Yeah.
Amazing. As much as I think I know, it's weird because the more I read, the more I learn, the more confused I get.
Yeah.
And the more variables I have to deal with.
Yeah, I have this saying that I'm always finding out stuff I didn't know I didn't know. You know?
I was okay until I read that.
Yeah.
Now I feel inept.
Yeah.
And then people ask me questions.
Yeah.
And I can't answer them very well because I keep, but there's this other thing. And they don't want to know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the famous things people ask me in the parks, and it's been more than once, as a park ranger, they'll say, what time of the year do the deer turn into elk? And I'm like, that's a stupid question, but is it really? Okay, why are they asking that? You mean what time do the elk bugle?
Yeah.
And they don't really notice until they're bugling?
Yeah.
Or, you know, another question somebody had, who goes, why did you guys plant the tree so close to the road? We're talking about redwood trees, huge, and the road that winds through them.
Yeah.
And I say, I guess they weren't thinking. Yeah. Bad planning.
Bad planning.
It's just government. We don't plan ahead very well.
Yeah. Or what time do they turn off the waterfalls?
Yeah. And And Yosemite does have a firefall, so
Yeah.
And they do, they used to light wood and let it go off the thing, and they call it firefalls. But now, and I guess in the spring when the water's up, the sun sets and the rays hit it, and it glows. So people think, oh, the Park Service must have lighting systems.
Yeah.
Could you turn that on for me? I want to get a picture of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
This canyon wall carried my tune. The only one to hear my song. All the coyotes and the wolves. But if I dream